What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the debate room. And today we're going to be talking about the qualifying. About the qualifying, I put qualifying, but actually we can be talking about other stuff, right? We know the F1 is trying to improve, and I will say improve, not to say destroy. They think they are improving. I call it making it American style. Why? You will see why. The F1 introduced the sprint race not so many seasons ago, trying to make more spectacular weekend of a weekend, right? Instead of having just one race, and what the Domenicali, which is the president of the F1, or the manager of the F1, let's say, calls it's a boring weekend, right? We have a Friday, which according to him nobody cares about. We have a Saturday, which until the qualifying nobody cares about, and then you have the Sunday race. They want to make it more of a show, or more of an American style show, right? You have the IndyCar, like it's all about accidents, things happening, right? So let's see how long. I mean, the one in the screen that you have right now, it's the layout of a F1 weekend. How it has been up until now. Up until now, since, a huge amount of years. Probably even before the 70s, I don't know. You have the free practice 1, which is 90 minutes. Free practice 2, which is 90 minutes. You have the free practice 3, which is 1 hour. You have the qualifying, and then you have the race. Before the 2000s, more or less, before the race, you used to have a warm-up as well. A warm-up session where you would test the race, right? How to start the race, which strategy to use. If it were raining, for example, for the whole day, and for the rest of the weekend it was not raining, you could try some new setups or whatever. They decided to change that to make it more interesting, right? They made the qualifying sessions, and then there was a parc fermé, which is something that after the qualifying you cannot touch anything in the car. Why? To try to mix the race. So if you would have an aggressive setup for the qualifying, to try to start more in front, right? Or someone who perhaps would have a setup more for the race, would start a little bit behind, but then in the race they would have a faster pace, right? That's why the warm-up was removed on Sunday. Of course, now having the warm-up is kind of difficult because the F1 has other categories like F2 and F3 and sometimes W series for the women, right? Which makes it kind of impossible to have a warm-up during the weekend. So you have the qualifying, but for the Liberty Media, which is the American owner of the F1, that is not enough. It's very boring. They want to make it they want to make people watch F1, right? Not just connecting on Sunday to watch the race. They want people to watch the whole thing, the whole package. They want to sell it as a show, as a circus, right? And for that, they are trying to input those American style stuff. Like we saw in Australia, 5 million red flags, with race restarts with cold tires provoking accidents. So people are like, whoa, no, way, blah, blah, blah. This is what they want. This is what they want, and you have the qualifying, which they wanted to remove it to try to make the sprint race. The sprint race, which for me, so far, it's a failure, and that's why they are trying to change it. Sprint race is a failure because there is a big mistake with the format. You cannot have the qualifying, instead of free practice 3, have the qualifying for the sprint race, and then use the sprint race as a qualifying for the race on Sunday. What does that mean? In the sprint race, which is a shorter format, instead of 60 laps, maybe they will have 15. You will not take risks, or you will, how to say this, take controlled risks, right? You will not try to You will not try to compromise the race start on Sunday. If you're in P5, you will not try to go for a P4 unless you see it really clearly to try to damage the car and then maybe start at the back of the grid, which will leave you a horrible race for Sunday. Unless, of course, you have a Red Bull in this case. I said this last year, and I think all the drivers, such as Carlos Sainz, also had the same idea. If you want to have a sprint race that is interesting, you need to do something different. Now, first of all, I don't know why they want to change the qualifying. For me, the qualifying is like the best part of the weekend. It's cars trying to go as fast as possible, right? Full engine, full power, full driver, full everything. Like F1 in its excellence. The car going as fast as they can. No fuel saving, no tire management, no anything. Full engine, full power unit, however you want to call it. Full DRS, everything is full. Full speed. And for that you have Q1, Q2, Q3. Why did they do this? Well, but before you had like 1 hour for the qualifying, or 30 minutes. I don't remember how it was. That was in the early 2000s. Until they decided to change the format to try to make it more interesting. They made it like this because you have 20 cars, and maybe having 20 cars on the grid, especially in race tracks like Monaco, you don't have the space for it. So you remove cars, so the final 10 fastest can go full power without anybody disturbing their lap, something like this, right? For me, this is the key to the Grand Prix. Removing the qualifying is a big mistake for me. They wanted to put a sprint race. How to improve the sprint race for me? I'm okay with doing the qualifying for the sprint race, and I think this is something they are trying to do for the. I think it's in Baku, if I'm not mistaken. After seeing, especially how MotoGP actually gave the key to it. How MotoGP is doing it is they make 2 qualifyings, right? One from the sprint race, one for the Sunday race. This way, on Saturday, on the sprint race, you will have people taking risks. Of course, you might have accidents, but you will have people taking risks. Why? Because despite the result of that, on Sunday, they will still have the guaranteed grid position, right? A grid position that they earned will not be related to what they did in the sprint race. This way, they will take risks, right? And this is the ideas that the F1 are trying. One of them was what I said, the 2 qualifyings for the sprint race, which for me makes sense. I already said that last year. I think Carlos Sainz also said it. Maybe other drivers as well said it. You need to separate to try to give more of a show. They also want to try, I think, I read this somewhere and I don't know if this is true, they want to try to make the qualifyings more interesting by restricting things or imposing things, such as forcing all the drivers to use the hard tire for the Q1, which is the stupidest idea ever for me, because that's like having a Q3 with all the cars on the track. 20 cars trying to go as fast as they can with the hardest tire. Doesn't make much sense to me. Why not with the softest tire? Why the hard tire? Makes no sense to me. I don't know if this is true. I hope not. I read they were trying to implement this in Imola, in San Marino Grand Prix. I don't know. Well, Emilia Romagna. I don't know how they call it now. Anyway, makes no sense, and this is the stupidest idea ever. I hope it's not true. Domenicali also said in Australia or not Azerbaijan, in Saudi Arabia, that they want to shorten the weekend. He says that nobody cares about Friday, so I care. I like to see teams trying stuff. They want to remove FP1 and FP2 or try to compress it into one big free practice of maybe 1 hour and a half or 2 hours on Saturday, right? Instead of FP3, just call it FP, free practice. 1 hour and a half or 2 hours of teams trying stuff. Why they want to do this? To make it more of a spectacle and a show. If teams and drivers do not have enough information on the car setup, car conditions, whatever, for the track, means there will be drivers that will be out of position, drivers that will not have the best setup for the car, therefore maybe a car that is very close to their performance. Let's call it like, I don't know, a Williams and an Alpine, for example, in Australia, right? If Pierre Gasly doesn't have the good setup for the car, perhaps Alexander Albon can be in front of him if Alexander Albon has the good setup for his car, right? Something like this. This is what I want. This is what I want. Or if Red Bull don't have the key to the good setup, perhaps a Hamilton or Russell or Alonso can challenge them in one of the races. This is what I want with this idea. Less information, more of a chaos, right? The other one, we already have a big fight about this, which is removing the warming blankets from the cars before of the race. And we saw the result in the Australian red flags, right? Cold tires, drivers trying to gain positions where they shouldn't, taking too many risks in the first corners. You see people on the grass, crashes. This is what they want, because more crashes, more accidents, more people out of the track and these kind of things means viewers are gonna be looking at this, especially in the race start, right? Different cars have a different pace of warming the tires, where perhaps the Ferrari can warm the tires faster than the Red Bull, but they will consume the tires faster than the Red Bull as well. So perhaps the Ferraris will have the advantage at the beginning of the race. I don't know. This is what they want. For me, this is yes and no. Yes, because you will put every single team, every single driver under the same condition of nobody has warm tires, right? You will have this warm-up lap to try to warm the tires as much as you can, to try to warm the brakes as much as you can. But still, you will have cold tires at the beginning of the race, or you will not have them at perfect working condition on the race, right? And no, because you are again taking away the soul of F1. F1 should be about maximum performance, maximum excellence, trying to make it everything as perfect as possible. Team, driver, setup, car, everything, right? If you're removing things from this equation, it's not excellence anymore. It's not F1 anymore. It's just show. It's an IndyCar, if you want to call it. It's a NASCAR, right? So the question again is, should F1 sell its soul for the show? I'm not the only one asking. I know many people are asking this question. However, is it true? Is F1 selling its soul for the show, going to those Arabian Emirate Grand Prix that pay $60 million a year with empty racetracks, right? Nobody's watching them in the racetracks because there's no people there. Not many people can afford it, perhaps, I don't know. Instead of having them in a Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium where it will be full packed with people actually wanting to see the F1. But of course, Belgium maybe cannot even pay 20 million, right? 60 million, 20 million. Of course, the teams want more money, but should you remove a Belgium for a Qatar Grand Prix where there's no show? The red flags that we saw in Australia, I put this picture in the background on purpose. Should you have 5 million red flags in a race when you can solve things with the safety car? Even drivers are complaining about this. All the teams are complaining about this. TV broadcasters are complaining about this. There were too many red flags. But the F1, of course, and this is my own opinion, they were trying to give it a try to see what is it gonna be like if you remove the blankets. What is it gonna be like if you actually compact all the grid and have them there, restart, and the American style, right? Every time there is something, they put a yellow flag, put everything behind a safety car, destroy the whole race, and then have everybody fighting for 3 laps, right? And this is what they want. Should they do this? Should they destroy the weekend format that has been there for a reason, for teams to practice stuff? They already shortened the pre-season to 3 days only, when before used to be 2 weeks at least. And even before that, used to be as much as you want. Ferrari had their own racetrack. People used to try things in different racetracks whenever they wanted, right? Williams maybe would try on Silverstone, Ferrari in Fiorano. Other teams would go to Barcelona, I don't know. For me, this is the soul of F1. Teams trying to go for excellence. Of course, you have to try to have a cost cap, right? As they have right now. But this is also what I want to see. I want to see engineering ideas. I want to see extreme things. Like the 2004 Williams, right? With this very unique kind of nose that nobody else had. Of course, they had to abandon the idea because they thought it was bad. It didn't work as they expected. I want to see this. Innovation. I want to see free practice sessions where people try these new wings, this new, I don't know, stuff on the car, right? I want to see pit stops where you can actually see fire, I don't know. I want to see cars going at the maximum potential since lap 1, not just in qualifying, right? What else? This is what we have now. All the cars looking the same. All the noses are down, as you can see. Yeah, more or less a little bit of a different wing. But can you tell me that all the cars don't look the same? Look at the rear wings, they are almost the same. You can see the Mercedes has a little bit different this. But this, they all look the same. Side pods, all are gonna copy now Red Bull. Is this what F1 should be like? I prefer to see something like this, if I can be honest. Look at the Ferrari nose. Look at this. Different ideas. Of course, the aerodynamics kill the overtakings. I'm not saying that. But I want to see innovation. I want to see solutions. I don't want to see them in handcuffs with the innovation. I want to see engines being developed. I don't know, tires, different tire suppliers, not just having Pirelli you have now, right? Bring back Michelin, bring back Bridgestone, I don't know, Goodyear, whichever, a Chinese brand if you want. I don't care. I want to see innovation. I want to see fights. I don't know. So again, should F1 sell it so? Should they really do the sprint racing thing? Should they compact the weekend? For me, no. For me, the weekend format, it's the way it is. You have the qualifying, you have the FP3 if you want to try to see the qualifying setups. You have the other 2 free practices on Friday to see new things, teams trying stuff. If you don't give the chance for teams to try stuff, it's not good. How about the rookies, for example, right? What about an Oscar Piastri or a Logan Sargent? If they don't have the free practice to try to know the car, to try to know the racetracks, how to set up the car and blah, 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 they will never learn. The experienced drivers will kick their asses, right? They need the time. If somebody is changing from one team to another, they need the time to try to understand the car. You're killing the soul. For me, this is bad. But apparently, this is a new F1 model. What can I say? I mean, I don't like it, but apparently this is the way it's gonna be. Just for the money. Just for the money.